Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about today. First and foremost, let's talk about what's going on down in Georgia for that senatorial runoff between Reverend Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, I'm going to share with you what Shannon Sharpe had to say in response to Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, leaving JSU, the HBCU, and how Shannon had some not too happy things to say about his HBCU experience. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, folks, let's talk a little bit about the killing of Shanquella Robinson. Now, Brother Roland has been talking a lot about the case, but now there's a discussion about friendships and how toxic friendships can lead to fatal results. We'll have that conversation. And then it's Tuesday. I got my sister Iman with me, and you know she is a Meg Thee Stallion hottie. Yes, folks, she is a fan. And Meg Thee Stallion has become the official first Black woman to grace the cover of Forbes magazine for their 30 Under 30 showcase. What does that mean for the culture? We'll talk about it. So stay with us. All of that and your comments and a whole lot more. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversations. Boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into it. And today is Tuesday, folks, and it is election day down in Georgia. Boy, the activity, so much is happening for this historic Senate runoff race election that's happening between Reverend Raphael Warnock and his Republican challenger, Herschel Walker. And so many people are saying that this election is just a microcosm of the major issues and the big elections that we have been seeing across this country about the soul of democracy. And more importantly, all hands have been on deck in Georgia. And now we're at this point where people are going to the polls or have already gone to the polls. And now we'll see what those results will be, as both camps are still kind of sitting on eggshells on what the end results will be. Coming from camp of the Democrat, Raphael Warnock, he's pretty confident that he got a good significant chunk of that early voters. A little bit over 1 million people, 1.8 million people have already voted in the early voting session. And now he's confident that they're going to walk away with a significant victory as it relates to that, as it relates to those voters coming out for that. But then Herschel Walker feels very confident that they're going to get the election day voters. We will have to see, as polls will be open for a few more hours down in Georgia. And then, of course, they have to be counted. But let's talk to our culture crew member. She is an activist. She's an entrepreneur. And we are always happy to have her analysis in the conversation. We got my sister, Iman Heath, joining us here today. Iman, good afternoon. How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Let's talk, Iman. What's your take on what's happening in Georgia right now?
First of all, Herschel Walker is one hell of a character.
One hell of a character, right?
One hell of a character. So recently, he's so detached from, I won't say like Black culture, but he said that he has been called a coon. And people from the country know that the coon is one of the smartest animals in the forest. But that's not what we mean when we say coon, sir. His story or his rhetoric from his speeches, it always starts off with giving praise and thanks to God and his kids. Then he talks about his childhood. Then he tells the story about St. Peter going to the pearly gates and having a decision to either choose heaven or hell because his name wasn't on the scroll of life or something like that. So he's basically creating this story that y'all can vote for me and have heaven, or vote for the Democrat I'm running against and have hell. but it's the same speaking points every time. So he's a character, and unfortunately, we've seen Trump run and win. So it wouldn't be too far fetched if, even with all the allegations from his ex-wife, other racial problems that he's had in his past, besides his NFL career, Faraji, I don't know. I hope he doesn't win, but we've seen miraculous things happen. So it's ain't no
We've
doubt.
seen miraculous things happen. All right, let me where can we start with this?
Where can we start? Like that's the point. Where can we start with him? Where do we start?
Well, I don't know, and you know, the Republicans haven't really pulled out as many of the powerhouses as the Democrats have, as it relates to, you know, getting some of the big names down there. We already know of his connection with Donald Trump, so you don't want to bring Donald Trump in on a situation like this because of the controversy that surrounds the former president.
Right.
So that may turn a lot more folks off. But it looks like he's going to need some support. What do you think? How do you think that he's going to, or the voters are going to weigh in, both him and Warnock? Because some people say, "Oh, Reverend Raphael Warnock, he's not a clean glass of water himself."
That is true, but I feel as though it's going to, at today, election day, is going to depend on who or how they appeal to Southern voters. To me, with Republicans, because they're so straightforward and say whatever they want out their mouth, typically, they are more appealing to those Trumpettes and whatnot. And the fact that his connection with Trump, that could get that push over. However, it's just who they appeal to the most, who's the most entertaining at this point.
Right.
And they could say the Reverend maybe is too I won't say reserved in his words, but he's just not as straightforward and blunt as Herschel is. So it really depends on who's more appealing as far as their character, if you ask me.
Well, let's talk about what the rest of the country is seeing as being at stake here. Here's a report from the New York Times, and let's show this, Keenan and Ariel. Here's a quote from a report, how they're saying that Raphael Warnock is claiming momentum in Georgia as Herschel Walker banks on election day turnout. According to that report, Reverend Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker are vying in an election with major symbolic as well as practical ramifications. A Warnock victory would deliver Democrats a 51st vote in the Senate, where the party has for the past 2 years relied on Vice President Kamala Harris to break the 50-50 ties. If Mr. Walker wins, Republicans will maintain joint control of Senate committees, and two centrist Democratic senators, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Joe Manchin III of West Virginia, and Kristen Sinema of Arizona, would maintain effective veto power over all legislation in the chamber. But the broader political stakes are just as significant. Democrats believe a victory would deliver proof they have transformed Georgia into an indisputable battleground, heralding a new era of Sunbelt politics and reshaping their strategies for winning the White House. A Walker victory, after his deeply troubled campaign and the GOP's clean sweep in statewide races this year, would reassert Republican dominance in the state. So there are a number of factors here, and they take a look at this. This is from the New York Times, how they're looking, how they're showing up. But there are a number of factors in this whole situation, folks. And one of the big things that keeps coming up for me is you know, what do the people of Georgia want? I mean, around the country, everybody has put out their speculations of what should happen and what will happen. But it always comes down to the voter, right, Iman? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we can talk about it. We're in different states. We're outside of Georgia. But if the people of Georgia vote for Herschel Walker, and I'm just getting us prepared because, like you said, miracles happen. But if the people of Georgia vote for Herschel Walker, I mean, it is what it is.
I can see.
It is what it is. Because that's part of the process of going to the polls. You can't encourage people to go to the polls, and then when they don't vote the way you want them to vote, you get mad as hell and call them idiots.
That's right. And I will say I'm one of those people who I gotta let people have their own opinion or what they feel as though they need But I do think Democrats aren't too far from being able to win the race, because again, when it came to the race for governor, Democrats weren't too far behind. Even for the past 2 elections, weren't too far behind. So it's gonna be close. I really hope that Reverend Warnock can pull through, so that Democrats can hold the Senate, so that we can continue the student loan process, because that will affect us. If they can at least hold that one leg, Democrats, as far as holding that leg of Congress, then it may be a greater chance that we'll have that student loan debt relief. But I hope he pulls through. I'm rooting for him.
I hope he pulls through for the sake of humanity.
That part too, because we have a Georgia-born, Georgia-bred, and Georgia-dead Herschel Walker,
who may not even be a real resident of the state of Georgia,
which he isn't.
All right, let's go to the online culture crew to see what they got to say as folks checking in right now. Folks, we're talking about what are your expectations for today's Senate race runoff that is happening down in Georgia. Let's go to Tiana. Tiana, you checked in first, kicking it off, Tiana. Tiana, you said Herschel Walker is a walking minstrel show. Okay, thank you so much for commenting today.
I'll add to that. Because he has money already, or has made the money, or knows how it is to have this American dream he said he has lived and is living, I can see that. Keep feeding his pockets, and also feeding his ego and idea of being this great guy, or a great politician. He doesn't feel as though he even looks or acts like one. He said this, but I agree. Minstrel show. Mm-hmm.
Great. He is a walking minstrel show. There it is. There's Herschel Walker. The funny part about this, Iman, is that prior to knowing his personal politics, he was a hell of a football player.
Yeah,
he was a great football player.
I checked some stats. He was.
Yeah, he was a great football player. Now, and I think that's the other part about this. It's like when people come from one field into another, and I've said this before, folks. When people come from one field into another, because they were great in one field doesn't automatically mean they're great in another field. You know what I'm saying? And I think in this country, we believe this. I mean, it might sound illogical. It might sound idiot, like something very stupid, but we believe it. We believe that if you're good in one field, you must be good in all fields. And that's not the case. Like, okay, you can do well in football, but we've seen it. We've seen
Dennis Rodman how to get Brittany Griner out of jail.
I mean, we got a lot of stuff, but people think that because you could do that. Speaking of Brittany Griner, very quickly, we got to take a break. Dennis Rodman say, oh, yeah, well, he's great on the court, but now you want to be a diplomat. Like, it doesn't work that way, bro. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, folks, we want to get more of your comments as we're talking about this historic election day. My shirt right here say Black Voters Matter. There it is. Boom. Y'all know, if you're down in Georgia right now, make sure y'all hit the polls. If you already hit the polls, we thank you so much for doing your due diligence. But get prepared that it may go either way. Just get prepared. And even if your candidate wins, here's the big thing, folks. It doesn't mean that you stop working to make some changes in your community. Vote, then go to work. That's the move. No, we don't do no hope and vote no more. Let's go talk about vote and then go to work. All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to get more of your thoughts from Iman, more thoughts from you, more thoughts from Iman, and a whole lot more conversation. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. We've been talking about the Senate runoff race that's happening down in Georgia right now. So many folks have been, talking about this race and the importance of it. And so many voters have gone out to the polls. Over 1 million people have gone to the polls already during the early voting period. Today, of course, is election day down there. And, of course, if you are haven't decided, or if you haven't had a chance to go to the polls, like on the East Coast right now, it's a little bit after about 3:30 right now in Georgia. So there's still time for you to go to the polls and make your voice heard loud and clear. And it's important that that you do so, And then look, again, we can have our view of the situation, but we don't live in Georgia, folks. I'm gonna just keep it real. Because I do respect that I respect people's choices and their votes. So even if we say, well, this person may not be the best person, or this person will be the best person, it always comes down to you as the voter. So I hope that for all of our Georgia watchers today, that you feel empowered to vote your interest, not vote according to what the talking heads have to say. You vote your interest, and then. Once if your candidate wins, then you got to live with that candidate for a little bit, but you got to vote your interest. Let's bring in Culture Crew member Iman Heath, who is an activist, entrepreneur, and a politico here on The Culture. Iman, I'm gonna go back to a couple of our online Culture Crew, because folks are checking in about this. So we already talked about the minstrel show. Tiana pointed out. Janae checked in and said, "Wow." When they said characters on the ballot, this is what Janae said. She said, wow, when they say characters on the ballot, it was meant loosely, not seriously. Geez, to think that people have to really decide on character is jaw-dropping. What do you make of that, Iman? Like, we always do talk about a person's character, right? We got to look at their past. We got to look at their family life and all of these things. And I think it's an interesting part of our American politics that all of these other things come into play when we make decisions about people. They come into play. This is the irony. They come into play when we vote for them, but they don't come into play once they are in the position and they start to vote on certain issues and certain bills and pieces of legislation. So it's like, yes, I'm a person of high morals and high values and great character. And then once you're in, it's like you see another side of this individual. So what do you say about that?
So that's why we dig into these the person's history and the things that they have done.
Yeah.
Look at the political work that they've done, because it will definitely tell on itself. Just like a credit score report. It's so many times you do the same thing repetitively, where it's like, all right, you just not good at this area, so let's not put you here or grant you this. It's the same way. Your reputation means a lot. I'm not saying people can't change, or he might have some type of revolution and he changes his way of thinking, but you have to look at people's character. That sometimes really determines, I'll say, if the political factors aren't hitting for you, it'll help you decide who you'd rather vote for. So it matters.
It does matter. It does matter. But see, here's a funny part about that. Donald Trump won president. Where's the metric of character? You know what I'm saying?
You appeal to those Southern voters.
Conversation time and time again, Iman. People always talk, oh, it's characters about character. We like to a la carte people's personalities, I think. You know what I'm saying? We like, oh, he's good in this, but not so good in that. But that's not necessary for this role. You know, we like to chop up people as if we're not getting the whole person. We want to say, oh, let's just key in on the piece of a person. You know what I mean? They might have a certain skill. They might have a certain talent. They might believe one particular value that aligns with our value. And then we're like, nope, that's my candidate, not thinking about the whole thing. And I'm thinking this is a trend that we're seeing in voting patterns and behaviors over these last few years, that we're finding that people don't really consider the whole person. They don't think that, I don't think that we consider the whole person. I think we think of part of a person. And then we start to say, oh, okay, the other side. And it's like, I get it. I don't expect my candidate to be Jesus. But what I do expect them to do is kind of meet a 60-40 measurement. This is my little formula, Iman. 60-40. 60% of the stuff I'm in agreement with. 40%, but you got to figure out what's the important 60 and the not so important 40. You know what I mean? And I think that's the hard part for some people to distinguish.
Yeah, your formula isn't off, and we have
all right. What's your formula?
Especially now, Faraji. Now we know how I feel about politics. So I'm not gonna say I have a formula,
right?
But I would say I would much rather look at what that person can provide, especially as an entrepreneur. How can you help me as far as my business? How can my business grow? Unfortunately, I will say in some aspects, Donald Trump looks ideal for the entrepreneur. However, for not a regular civilian, but anyone that may work a 9 to 5, some of the bills and clauses he may want to change or edit really doesn't benefit them. So it's kind of I'm in the middle, kind of. I understand why it would be an on the fence type thing. Now, I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I don't give a hell if he gives entrepreneurs a free $10,000 every month. I'm not doing it. Just now, that's where the character part of him comes in for me. You're not going to tell my people we don't have nothing to lose, as if we really just are the shit at the bottom of the totem pole.
Right.
You're not going to do that. So that character part, back to that comment, that character part it makes a difference. But your formula sounds pretty accurate.
It sounds pretty accurate, 60-40.
Yeah, because you gotta remember, it's not. We can't look at politicians to solely help the Black community or minorities. They do have the entire country to think of too. So that 40%, that's a good leeway.
That's a good leeway. All right, cool. Look at that. Look at that. I'm doing math on the culture. There we go. All right, let me see something. Let's see. Bobby Parker, you said just praying that Black folks vote. There we go. Bobby,
but Black don't mean they're going to vote for the party that you like. Being Black doesn't mean you just automatically vote Democrat. So let's not say that, because some Black people do vote Republican.
That is true. That is very true, Iman.
Yeah. Not all Blacks are Democrats.
Right. That is very, very true. Good point. Excellent point. All right, Alex Marsh Adams. Alex, you sound like you are a new watcher, and welcome to the culture. Alex, you pointed out, hi family, I'm in the UK. Nice. We're going across the water. Please don't let up. Give them a blue wave. Vote.
The fact that the UK is watching America, like, I hope y'all prevail. That says a lot.
Let me tell y'all something. If y'all don't think that the whole world watches what goes on in this country politically, or just in general, y'all tripping. If we don't think that the whole world's watching how Black people respond and move, we tripping. Black people are being watched. America is being watched, folks. We can't deny that. And Alex is making that very point. We cannot deny that. Checking in from the UK, the United Kingdom. Folks, they're looking at this because they understand. And look, and this is going back to what Michael and Hotep and many other scholars on this show and on this platform have said, that we have to start looking at history. We got to look at what's going on in politics. We got to look at what's going on in the law field. And when you look at the historical stuff, you start to see the origins of how fascism, the origins of civil war, the origins of civil revolutions. How do all these things come to pass? because America in some places over these past couple of years have shown the ingredients for major revolutions to potentially happen in this country as a result of, everything from injustice to just being disgruntled. So we have to, not think so small of ourselves to think, oh, nobody's taking a look at the state of Georgia. Yes, they are too. Yes, they are. All right, let's go back to, we got a couple of moments left, but Lana, you said this. You said black people ain't voting for that man. Talking about Herschel, I'm assuming. But I hope that this is our wake-up call, that no one is thinking about us but us. I can't wait until these elections are over and we discuss the black strategy. What's your take on that, Iman?
The first part is like no one is thinking about us but us. Herschel Walker looks like a us. So, but he doesn't really, from what I've seen as far as his speeches, don't really stand with the people. He's just for the opposite of progression, for the people. So I don't, that first part.
You just don't agree with it.
Yeah, not all skin folk are kinfolk.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? And I get where Lana's coming from, because she's a sister that understands the revolution and liberation. So I get it in the black strategy. But after this election, see, what's this? December the 6th, December the 7th, we should be having some very different conversations about black political power, whatever those conversations may be and whatever direction they may take us in preparation for 2024.
And that's around the corner.
For the next Senate, congressional elections. We need to have some very different conversations. I don't want, and I hope and pray that this doesn't happen, Iman, to be honest. I don't want us to be in the same bag or in the same rhythm or the same mode come 2024, 2025. And, we're still talking about the same stuff. Same stuff.
I agree. As far as the black, the black strategy, we, and I mean here on the culture, we may have to be the people to help or at least push to get that ball rolling as far as a black strategy. We may have to be the ones to do that, to be honest, Faraji. Because
you know what? It's going to take the next generation. Like your sisters, like you, brothers, young brothers, it's going to take the next generation, which is what makes y'all voice so important and powerful, and this is why we have you on the platform. It's going to take the next generation to push it, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And as much as I have some hope into the system and in the big scheme of things, like, I'm not completely hopeless. I understand, though, that we need to have an alternative to what we're currently experiencing right now. So we will have to see how things pan out. Look, we got to take another pause. When we come forward, folks, all right, let's have a conversation about Shannon Sharpe. Speaking of blackness, Shannon Sharpe, the former NFL superstar, now who serves as the host of Undisputed, had some words as he spoke on the case with Coach Prime, talking about his HBCU experience. And guess what? Folks are like, hey, Shannon, you might want to keep your mouth quiet, sir. I'm going to share with you what Mr. Sharpe had to say and get your reaction. So stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Now, yesterday we had talked about the big controversy that happened online with Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Coach Prime, who had made the announcement this past weekend that he was leaving his post as head coach of Jackson State University, where he was able to turn that program around in just 2 years from a team that was certainly unknown in college football to a team that became undefeated in both years, winning the national championship as well this year. And so the news of Coach Prime reverberated across the country. Some were happy, but then there were a lot of black folks that felt like Coach Prime turned their back on HBCUs and called him a hypocrite and all types of things because he decided to take an offer from the University of Colorado that not only opened up the door for different opportunities for a black head coach at the predominantly white, public white institution, but it also opened up the door for more money to be given to the people around him and his team and his folks and his coaching staff and possibly players. But it also opened up the conversation about the value and the importance of HBCUs. And yesterday, as all of this conversation about Coach Prime was happening, none other than Shannon Sharpe, the host of Undefeated, who is often very vocal about what he has to say and how he feels about certain situations. He came out to say in a recent discussion, let me just share with you this quote that he put out there. This was a tweet that Shannon Sharpe put out there to talk about his HBCU experience. So let's post that if we can, please, Kenan and Ariel. This is what he said. I went to an HBCU, but only because I was Prop 48. It was not great for me. He tweeted this on Sunday. He said, had I had the grades coming out of high school, I wouldn't have chosen an HBCU. There he is, folks. Shannon Sharpe. He dissed HBCUs, and guess what? Black folks got mad at him too. Black folks are just mad all around. We mad at Deion Sanders. Now we mad at Shannon Sharpe. Okay. Let's talk about this, Iman. Because this is an ongoing conversation. Hold on, you on mute, Iman. Hold on, we gotta get you.
Pick a part to start, please.
Now, let me tell you something. Please. This is an ongoing conversation. People have been talking like, all right, let me just throw this out there, folks. I've worked at an HBCU, the great Morgan State University in Baltimore, a national treasure, for years. Okay, all right. I did not go to Morgan State University. I went to a PWI, Towson University, okay, in Baltimore. But here's the thing. Why do we hate on a man that's talking out of his personal experience? He literally started the statement, Iman, saying it was not great. His experience at an HBCU was not great. Now, there are so many people right now that are mad and say, well, why are you downplaying HBCUs? Everyone has their personal experience at an HBCU. For whatever his experience is, or was rather, it could have really scarred him. It could have really damaged him. It could have done something emotionally to him. I don't know. But he don't sound like he was a happy camper at his HBCU. Maybe it was the fact that they didn't see his talent at the HBCU when he was trying to play football. I don't know. He went to Savannah State University, so let me just throw that out there. But I don't know. But he's talking from his experience. And I think it's absolutely crazy. And y'all can debate me on this, but I think it's crazy that we get mad at a black person that's talking about an HBCU from their personal experience when we know. Because stop lying. We absolutely know that some HBCUs do not always provide the best experience. Now, that does not mean that in general that they are not valuable, nor are they important. It's just simply that that's one person's experience. All right, Iman, you go ahead. I just wanted to provide some context, my view. All right, go ahead.
So, I did not have the privilege of going to an HBCU because PWI here at Baltimore University of Baltimore was much cheaper than any local HBCU. I wanted to go to Howard, but that didn't work out as far as finances. So that's just my background.
And that's at an HBCU. That's an HBCU.
Yeah, Howard is HBCU.
I know. I'm just making a point.
I was about to say.
Now, wait a minute. You said your finances your grades were.
Oh yeah, my grades were fine. My grades weren't a problem at all. It was the money. I wasn't able to attain enough scholarships to cover the tuition. So for me, my choice to go to a PWI was due to it being cheaper per semester. Mind you, I was a full-time student after I had stopped playing basketball. I was a full-time student and a full-time working full-time. So what was more affordable for me at the time was a small PWI here in Baltimore. So with that being said,
right,
Shannon Sharpe being a public figure, you know, it comes with certain responsibilities, and some things you should want to provide more context about. To me, it can be perceived on the opposite end that he is downplaying HBCU because he went from Savannah straight to the NFL, correct?
Right.
So did the HBCU not help you get to where you are? Now, I'm not saying the HBCU is responsible solely for you being able to go to the NFL, but they did play a part. So I can understand why some people may have some backlash towards it because just how it was stated as if an HBCU, and I understand he said from his perspective or his experience. However, he should have had a follow-up tweet saying, you know, no, not downplaying HBCUs or something, but just to say it that way, especially with the Deion Sanders stuff going on.
Right.
That made it even worse, if you ask me.
Right.
That's what really had everybody triggered is the fact that Deion Sanders stuff is going on.
Well, absolutely. Here, I want to share something. Real Brooklyn, you putting out something, And if we could pull up Real Brooklyn's comment, he said Shannon is talking about where he wanted his career to go, his football career. Your NFL career depends highly on the school you came from. Only a few, like Strahan, is the exception, talking about Michael Strahan. He said, trust me, it matters. He's talking about his, and maybe Shannon should have contextualized his comment and said, look, my football career,
right.
I mean, he still was able to make it to the pros. He's still a great Hall of Fame, blah, blah, blah. But he was making the point that he probably could have gotten a little bit further along, a little bit more of the training, a little bit more playtime, whatever the case may be on the football side of things, had he not gone to an HBCU, which I understand.
Right.
Which I understand. Well, I wish he
would have said that.
Because these HBCUs, they aren't, because they're not well funded, they're like some of these other major schools, right? Like these PWIs and everything. The athletic programs aren't always there, right? They don't have all what they needed to have what it takes. So to Real Brooklyn's point, yes, if you are a football player, you're not thinking, and I'm sorry. When Coach Prime, when Deion Sanders went to Jackson State, and even now as he's moving on to Colorado, there are hundreds of new applicants for Colorado's football program just because Deion Sanders is there. It's coming, right? And guess what? That's what Deion Sanders did for HBCU football and athletic program. And he may have opened the door for other NFL greats. We talked about this yesterday, Iman, where I had my sports contributor, Scotty, talking. He said, can you imagine if a Ray Lewis or an Ed Reed, who are Hall of Famers, decided to get into coaching and go to an HBCU now and start to coach their program and get those programs up, getting more money for those programs because of Shannon Sharpe. You know what I'm saying? Like it could have, not Shannon Sharpe, because of Deion Sanders. It could have that type of impact on schools. So I agree with Real Brooklyn. I think it's because of his football lane. I don't think he's necessarily talking about the quality of the education of the other parts of it. I think it's because of football.
He needed to say that. He needed the tweet right after that tweet. I'm speaking about football.
Right.
It was way too broad of a statement.
Yeah.
To not think, especially how sensitive everyone is, especially on social media and Twitter, to be specific. You got to come with more details.
Well, here's the other thing. Do you think that Black folks have a right to criticize HBCUs? Because I think that's the other part of this discussion.
Yes, I do think so. I think so. We can pick that up when we come back.
Yeah, let's do that. Do Black folks have a right to criticize HBCUs? And if so, can we do it publicly? I want to hear from you. Make sure y'all post your comments in the chats as we're streaming live on all platforms right now. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, more conversation about what Shannon Sharpe had to say and more conversations from Iman as well as you. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the controversial comments coming from former NFL superstar, Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, who serves as the host of the show Undisputed, to talk about his experience at an HBCU, going as far as to say that his experience was not great. This is what he tweeted on Sunday, that his experience was not great and that he wouldn't have chosen to go to an HBCU if he did not if he met all the qualifications to go to another university, a PWI, predominantly white institution. And this is in context of the big controversy around Coach Prime leaving JSU to move to the University of Colorado. And so people have been upset with Shannon, saying that, you know what, Shannon is making HBCUs or diminishing the importance and the value of HBCUs by making that comment. But as we're talking about this, it leads me to ask the question, can Black folks criticize an HBCU and not be seen as anti-Black? I want to bring our culture crew member, Iman Heath, into this. I mean, is that possible? Because I'm going back to my original premise, Iman. Black folks have screwed other Black folks in these school spaces when it comes to money, resources. We have, I remember Brother Roland had talked about the case of Howard University in Washington, where the students had inadequate housing. There were major issues with their housing. So the students had to protest. The president of Howard University decided that he had to make some concessions, but there was a real issue with the housing situation at Howard University. What do you tell those students if they were to criticize an HBCU like a Howard, considered to be one of the meccas of the HBCU community, right? What do you say to them? Don't criticize it? Because that is a justified criticism when you go to an HBCU on the premise that this place is going to affirm your Blackness. This place is going to help you grow into your identity. It's going to make you proud. And then you go there, you have some serious breakdown of communications and infrastructure and other issues. Do you really expect Black students to walk out of there and be like, go HBCU? Or do you expect them to be like, man, damn, I wish I could have gone to a PWI. I probably wouldn't have had this type of problem at a PWI. Not to say that PWIs are heaven on earth, because they got their own set of problems. But I think we need to put these things in perspective. We get so, what's the word, Iman? Emotional.
Okay.
We get so emotional talking about HBCUs, but when we talk about these stories, these national stories about HBCUs, do you really expect these students to walk away feeling HBCU proud if they can't, if their housing situation is all jacked up, or if their money situation is all jacked up? There was that other story when that young Black man, I think it's from Howard again, but he was talking about he was funneling money from this place to that place, and it was fraud allegations and all of these things. What do you expect? People are not always going to have this pristine, clean, joyous HBCU experience. I think people just, like some Black folks, like, come on. And if y'all talking so good about HBCUs, how many of you take time to either donate to an HBCU or to try to make that community better? It may not be financially, but you may give the greatest gift that you can have, that you can give, which is your time. You go on a campus, you volunteer your time, you connect with students, you help the administration. I think some things are missing from the conversation, and then instead of just jumping to conclusions that, oh, because a Black person is criticizing HBCU, they're anti-Black. What's your take?
A whole lot is missing from the conversation. Of course, with those experiences, especially at Howard, I would definitely not expect a black student because you went to an HBCU to say, let's go to all HBCUs. However, let's not make it a HBCUs aren't this, the PWIs are that type of situation. Let's just be specific and say this HBCU has to work on this part of their admission or school or campus, rather than this HBCU is trash, so we're going to charge all the other HBCUs as possibly being the same way. So let's go to PWI where it's probably better. No, PWIs have their mix-ups and mishaps as well. They're not all peaches and cream as well. So rather than it just being, hey, HBCUs aren't this, HBCUs aren't that, PWIs are better. No, we all have HBCUs have things to work on, things that need to be sought out and corrected. But that doesn't mean all HBCUs are the same way. HBCU, that's a big title, and it's a big umbrella. So it's not HBCU. We're not saying Bowie State University. We're not saying Morgan State University. Let's not just broaden it as just HBCUs, period.
Right.
Or just say, if HBCUs over here doing this, damn, then PWIs probably like this. No, let's not point the finger and say they're better because we're doing bad or we've had a bad experience.
Right. That's fact. Actual fact. All right, let's go to our culture crew. Hear what we got to say. Sharon Brooks, you checked in. Sharon, thank you so much. Sharon, you said HBCUs are not cheap. The states need to give the HBCUs the monies that's owed to them, period. That's the real story, period. Facts. We know that. And if HBCUs were funded the way we see PWIs are funded and other state schools are funded, then we probably would be having a different conversation, because they are HBCUs, we know, are historically working from less resources. There has been, over the past couple of years, there has been data to show that there has been a rise in enrollment for HBCUs across the country as a result of George Floyd and other pro-Black movements. So that, and Black Lives Matter, let me just throw that out there for some of us that don't think Black Lives Matter has actually done anything. Black Lives Matter has actually encouraged more Black students, Black youth, to go into HBCUs, and we've seen that. So that's a huge point, that you got to fund these institutions. Sharon, thank you so much. Rashida, you said, yes, Black people have a right to criticize HBCUs. These are learning institutions, not Valhalla or the Holy Grail of the Covenant. HBCUs have flaws also. I'm with you there.
I agree. I agree, but my point is, again, if we want to point the finger, okay, PWIs aren't perfect either. Well, they have their redlining issues that they have.
No doubt. No doubt. And I don't think I don't think this is the spirit in which Rashida was making her point. I just think I think she's making the same point. Like, we have, but look, check this out. If Black folks can't criticize HBCUs, then who can?
Because we'd be mad as hell for white man. Now, you got a point, Roger. We'd be mad as hell if white man came in our backyard.
Let Elon Musk tweet something like, HBCUs need to, there's no value in Let Elon Musk say that.
Twitter will be ablaze. Black Twitter is what people will call it.
Right.
Black Twitter would give him beyond hell.
You know what I'm saying? Let him say that. So let's be clear. If Black folk, look, if this is for any Black institution, y'all can, some of you, look, if you say Black Star Network has some flaws and some issues, I don't like this, I don't like that. You are stakeholders. You are stakeholders, right? As stakeholders of any entity, you have the right to offer your criticism, right?
Right.
You can do that. At HBCUs, we are stakeholders, right? Especially if you're an alumni, you're a stakeholder. Why? And there's the whole premise: steel sharpens steel. If we can't criticize, and I'm going to use this term criticize in a very broad sense. Like, if we can't teach or offer some guidance on how to be better, then what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with teaching, shaping, molding the minds of Black youth, of white youth, of folks coming across the waters, all of that. You're dealing with that. We have every right to say, if an HBCU, that is, come on now. And white people do the same thing for PWIs. They do the exact same thing. That's how schools get better. That's how education evolves. That's how we make sure that the educational experiences of all students who go to HBCUs is raised up.
Our word of the year has been accountability.
Facts. All right, let's get one more in, then we're going to take another pause. Belinda, you checked in. Belinda, it's good to hear from you. You said this, Belinda. You said, when is it okay to not take everything someone Black has to say so literal? We have to go back and forth with each other like a person's thoughts are just that, especially if it's their own lives.
Unfortunately, when you get to certain positions, it comes with certain requirements when you get to certain positions.
Yeah.
Again, Shannon Sharpe being who he is and status that he has, unfortunately, he just can't say the same things that we would be able to say. Because when you get a certain level, a certain stature or position, it comes with certain responsibilities. So maybe other persons can say their opinion and, you know, it'd be okay, it'd be all right. But when you have certain status, it just comes with certain stipulations you got to follow.
Yeah,
not have to follow, but
yeah, that's true. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but we got to get out of our feelings. Shannon Sharpe is a recipient of an HBCU. He's a Black man. He understands. I think he has a strong sense of who he is and what he brings to the table. He has every right to say that his experience as an HBCU was not great. Let's stop acting as if, and see, HBCUs, if HBCUs don't have thin skin. They've gone through a lot. They've been here over 100+ years. A lot of some of these institutions, right? Look, that just comes with the territory. Any institution that serves people, there's going to be some criticism. There's going to be criticism. Black Star Network, we got our haters. We can say haters, but I just say, hey, as long as you provide constructive criticism, there's always, you know, the old saying in the house of improvement, you know, what they say, that the greatest room is the room for improvement. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we are right now. That's where we are. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk a little bit about something else that not breaking away from education. Let's talk about this case of Shanquella Robinson. Brother Roland has been talking extensively about this case of this young woman, Black woman, who went out of state, traveled with a group of friends, and then ended up dead while on vacation. And so I want to talk about this case in the context of toxic friendships. I want to hear what Iman has to say, because there were a number of there's some evidence to show that she wasn't killed by some unknown assailant. It was one of her friends. And so we're going to break down this story, and let's talk about toxic friendships. Do your friends really care about you? We'll have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm so happy to have you joining us this afternoon as we talk about the conversations that are relevant to you. We've been having a couple of great discussions, so make sure y'all check us out in replay as we are streaming live on Black Star Network. Make sure y'all go to blackstarnetwork.com to check out all of the shows of The Culture and the great programming that we have to offer right there at blackstarnetwork.com. And while you're there, make sure that you also continue to support us. Let people know that we are live and rocking and rolling. And more importantly, we are having the conversations. We're telling the stories. We're pleading our case like no other network. So make sure y'all check us out at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks, let's have this next conversation about the unfortunate situation of our young sister, Shanquella Robinson. This is the 25-year-old who traveled down to Mexico with a group of friends. And as a result of that trip, she ended up dead, folks. All right, this is what's reported. And you know, Brother Roland has been talking extensively about this case. I heard about the case. And as a result of that, I kind of just said, let Brother Roland talk about it more. But then there was another element I think that we should talk about, which got my attention. It wasn't just the fact that she died while she was vacationing with friends back in October, but it's also about the fact that it was one of her friends that was responsible for her death. Take a look at this report from The Root. Here's where we are with this situation. Some of you may have already known this, but prosecutors in Mexico, take a look at this, folks. Prosecutors in Mexico have filed charges against a suspect whose name they have not publicly revealed on charges related to the death of Shanquella Robinson. Now, she was just 25 years old. She died on October 29th while vacationing with 6 of her friends in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Everyone on the trip was American. However, an autopsy revealed that Robinson's cause of death is severe spinal cord injury as well as a dislocated neck. Mexican prosecutors called her death as a direct attack, not an accident. A month after Robinson's passing, the FBI has decided to get involved. Take a listen. Now, here's the other part of that. Though Mexican authorities have not shared the name of the suspect, they did verify that it is one of her friends. In addition, the FBI is now involved in the investigating into Robinson's death. Mexican prosecutor Antonio Lopez Rodriguez shared that the case was being regarded as a possible homicide. Now, this was a tweet that that some members of Black Twitter had put out there about friendships. This came from Kara Hopkins. She said, any one of us could have been Shanquella Robinson. The core of the matter is people she called her friends orchestrated her death. There are enemies who disguise themselves as friends, as loved ones. This sent a message to us all. Wow. Yeah. So now the conversation is not just about her death, but about the friends that she kept in her circle. Let's bring Iman Heath, culture crew member, into this conversation. Iman, I wanted to have this conversation specifically with you because I know that you understand the importance of connecting with people, having friends. You are very popular. You have a host of friends around the city and across the country. So as a young Black woman seeing this, I'm like, I got to talk to Iman about this. What do you make? I mean, first, this case is so unfortunate because at first they were saying that she had died accidentally, right? That she essentially kind of got into some issues and she kind of had an accident. But then there was video that had cropped up on social media showing she was in a fight with another Black woman in a hotel room and she was brutally beaten. The woman just hit her a few times, but you can clearly tell that Shanquella Robinson was not fighting back, even though the woman kept punching her. And now we see that they have a suspect and that the suspect is one of her friends. Let's talk about this, Iman. Toxic friendships. We hear about women, and I read about it all the time on social media. I see sisters always saying they're going to this place, they're going to that place, they hanging out with these girlfriends and all of this stuff. But I'm asking a question. Do you know your friends and do they really care about you?
It's number one, extremely unfortunate this happened to this young lady. She was an entrepreneur, making good money. She even paid for the Airbnb that her friends were staying at on vacation. So to bring people along, I guess to celebrate possibly, and to wind up dead is crazy to me. The fact that even if it was prior to the video being released, even if it was an accident, you wouldn't leave your friend's body in another country without either returning with it or staying there with her or some type of way contacting her parent so they can come get her. Like it makes no sense. And then to call her mother and say, it was an accident. And then her mother also has said on a news interview, it was like 3 different stories at first. When she first contacted the so-called friends. The girl in the video wasn't just another black woman. That was her friend. Then the person recording was also so-called her friend. My thing is, first of all, number one, if I'm getting beat up as my friend, you shouldn't be recording me getting beat up. That's number one.
Facts.
Number two, you clearly see I'm not fighting back. Rather than yell in the background, fight back. If you see I don't want to fight or not fighting back, put the phone down and break it up. But she was surrounded by friends. A friend did that to her. I didn't watch the video, but I believe after one young lady fought her, another young lady jumped in there as well. So it's like a tag team situation, but you clearly see this girl not fighting back.
She's not fighting back.
So why? Like why? Not what, because we already know what happened, but why? What did she?
But it wasn't. And you know what? Even after that incident, Iman, she was still alive, right? It wasn't that fight that killed her, obviously, right? Because she was still alive. As the report and the autopsy show, was direct attack. Her neck was broken. Her back was broken to me.
Yeah.
So that means that there was some serious damage done to her body. And if they have found a person of interest, a suspect they got in custody, who is actually one of the 6 friends that she traveled with. Damn.
The report says, medical says that it was, at first it said it was an accident. Right. Then from the report, they couldn't determine if they meant yes, it was an accident or no, it was an accident, and like the field box, something like that, they had to fill out. But it also stated initially when the EMT or the paramedics came in, initially they thought she was just laid out on the floor just drunk, when that wasn't the case. I'm not sure if she was already dead by that time, but they assumed that she was drunk because that's what the friends told them. She was drunk and just had passed out.
Right.
But
alcohol poisoning or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's no way the neck is broken off of alcohol. Now, unless she was jumping off the couch or jumping off the island, the counter in the kitchen, drunk off of Casamigos or something, then okay, maybe. But no, even still, you don't leave your dead friend in Mexico. It's no way in hell.
Come on, Iman.
You can't. No matter what happens, you leave your friend in Mexico. And you know why they left her in Mexico? Because they knew it felt responsible for that girl's death. Guilt speaks before the innocence comes out. Guilt will always have somebody tell on themselves. So y'all left that girl dead in Mexico and came back home as if nothing happened because you knew you would be found responsible, or you would have type of connection, or you would have to pay for what the hell you did. If it was generally an accident, Faraji, telling me that they wouldn't have at least said something to her mom or said something to officials that, hey, something's wrong with my friend, I don't think she's okay. And then it was 3 different stories.
Look, Iman, this whole situation it got me under it. There was this situation, and I don't know, you heard, and I'm gonna ask my culture crew, y'all, and the name escapes me from this system, so I want y'all let me know. There was a black woman that was hanging out with her white friends at a sleepover.
I thought of the same thing when this came
up.
Right,
y'all, some of y'all may heard this story. It's a black woman. She was a young black woman, probably I think in her late 20s or something, but she was at a sleepover with like it was all her white girlfriends. She ends up dead.
She's the only one that ends up dead.
She's the only one that ends up dead. Y'all tell me the name of that sister. But it just kind of makes me think of her story as well. And it makes me think like are we really having conversations with the people that are closest to us? You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy for us to connect. And Nira and I were talking about this. In this day and time, it's easy for you to connect with people on common interests, right? You like traveling, I like traveling too. Girl, you're going to be my bestie. But we don't know. We don't qualify people to be in our circle. We don't qualify people to be in our space.
We don't qualify people.
You know what I'm saying? Like you know, you don't. We look at common interest versus common character.
Moral
like is this person cool? And I'm talking about like in the head. Is this person, do you get a good vibe, good energy from this person, right? Like, because we all got common traits. A lot of people love to travel. A lot of people, I see the sisters, they like, oh, I just want to hang out with a girlfriend and drink some wine and just trying to chill. A lot of Black women love to do that. But do the women around you, and sisters, this is for y'all, do the women around you, is one of them scheming on you, on your man while you ain't around?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Or it's another one looking at your life, wishing, and in her heart, she's envious and jealous. You see what I'm saying? But you don't know the face. There's no specific face for envy. There's no, you don't know what a jealous person looks like. You don't know what a hateful person looks like. They're not going around with a big label on their forehead. So it's like, we got to start qualifying people to be in our space, in our life. And I don't know, Iman, and we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to get your take on that, because I don't think we're doing that as much as we used to. We call people best friends so quick. We let them into our homes, we let them around our family, and all of these things without like vetting them. And that's the sad part about it. And I'm not blaming this on Shanquella, because she didn't deserve to die. I'm just saying, this is the culture now where we just like common interest, let's hang out. You buying up something, y'all drinking, you don't know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. And that's the sad part about this story. Well, look, folks, we're going to continue the conversation talking about toxic friendships in this unfortunate case of Shanquella Robinson. But folks, let me know what your take is on this. Do you think your friends care? Do you think we need to qualify and vet our friends more now more than ever? We want to hear your thoughts. Make sure you post your comments in all of our chat spaces as we're streaming live across all platforms. And stay with us. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the unfortunate case of Shanquella Robinson, the 25-year-old who was killed while vacationing with her quote-unquote friends in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, back in late October, when she was ended up found fatally and brutally beaten that led to her death. And as a result of that, police have been able to to get a suspect in custody who was actually one of the friends that she traveled with. Now, the police did not name that person or not make their name public, but it is known that she was traveling with the very person that killed her. They were in her friend's circle. Now, I talked about the other case of the Black women who spent time with white mothers. This case, and I'm so happy for my culture crew for reminding me the name of my sister. But this is the case of Tamia Horsford, who was spent some time at a sleepover with other mothers in North Georgia, a group of white mothers, and she ended up falling out over a balcony. They said in a drunken stupor, breaking her neck and killing her from that situation. And so, again, another case that hasn't been talked about too much, but another case of where toxic friends have played a huge role in your own demise. And I want to bring in culture crew member Iman Heath back into the conversation. But looking at this situation of either Tamia and now we got Shanquella, my point is to qualify, to vet your friends, Iman. You know what I mean? Like in this day and time, and I'm just saying this because, and I'm not trying to put no fear mongering or anything out there, but You don't know people. We don't know people nowadays. We don't know what people's intentions and their motivations are. We don't know where their minds are. You know what I'm saying? You know, we always use the phrase, all black folk ain't kinfolk. And I see this. Same thing that happens for black men, right? Like one of our culture crew members brought this up, like with the rappers. And I think it was you, Real Brooklyn. You said, you talked about the rappers. Like a lot of the rappers who wind up getting shot and killed is because of the quote, the friends in their circle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Envy, jealousy, all of that starts to emerge, and then somebody dies. But for this sister, she didn't have to die the way she did. But the fact that she had known the person who had killed her, man, that's a hard pill for her to swallow, for me to swallow. I know that's a hard pill for her mother and her family to swallow.
So I feel as though, especially with what you're saying as far as finding out who your friends are, with the way especially social media has made it, we are a microwave society.
Right.
And I believe the problem with some of us is that, not problem, but concern, is that we desire relationships so much. Because you like Starbucks, and I like Starbucks, we're gonna be homegirls. Let's develop this relationship now, and that's where it grows from.
And it and can I throw something out there? Mm-hmm. Can I throw this very quickly? I just want to throw this out there, Iman. It happens too damn fast.
Way too fast. Way too fast. And in order to have a true friendship, it comes with time.
Woo.
It has to have time behind it. I can't just say because we went to the same school, we played on the same team, and now I done seen you in the market with your kid, and I got a kid, let's have a play date. That don't mean we friends. We just know of each other. But that don't make us friends. Friendship, just like a marriage or any other relationship, it requires experiences. It requires time. You have to get to know each other. What are your morals like? What are my morals like? Just because, you know, you may have voted for the same person I did doesn't mean you believe in the same things that I do, or you would carry things the same way that I do. You have to get to know people. You have to date your friends.
Woo.
Or people you're going to call friends. It's the same way when you do a romantic relationship. It goes the same way. My friends are all people I've known at least 10 years. I have friends from middle school, and I believe I have my best friend. I've known him since 4th grade. So it takes time and experiences to have friends. We want to be so in relationship with other people. Give me one common interest. Now you my homegirl. It don't work that way.
So here's the other part of that. I think here's the other part of that. One, and you brought up social media, which I think is an important part of this discussion. Because you know someone by name doesn't make them a friend, right? But social media has redefined, quote unquote, friend, right? So if, you know, I always tell people, join my platform, but I really don't know you. But social media has labeled this interaction as us being friends. Like back in the day, friends is, to your point, time, experience. We had some, we physically spent some time together. We had some shared experiences. You know, we know each other on a fundamental values level, that type of thing, right? But social media has destroyed that in a sense and said, no, your friend is just because you know their name.
And so, just because you upload pictures of what you ate for dinner, and now I get to see
the interaction is just by name alone, right? The other thing is, for example, you may have, you know, we got quote unquote high school acquaintances. Let's start redefining it. High school acquaintances. So you haven't talked to a sister in say 10 years, and she be like, "Girl, we friends." I don't know you, sis. I don't know what's been your experience for 10 years. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know where your head has been for 10 years. So for me to just assume that we knew each other 10 years ago in high school, therefore we're friends in adulthood.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because here's what it does. This is something I'm going to teach my daughter. Like, this opens up, and I see this more for a lot of young women. And y'all can correct me, but I see it, Iman, that you got young sisters who you know, women who become friends with somebody, and then an unknown dude comes into the picture. You know what I'm saying? You be like, girl, we're gonna hang out. All right, cool. We're going to hang out. Then you see this dude and he got his homeboys. Be like, well, who are they? And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, they just some friends of mine. I don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do know them, it's been so long since you talked to them. Again, you ain't checking their head. So you're like, oh, no, that's so-and-so from high school. Oh, yeah, we were cool. But you don't know what yo been through.
And they not the same person. Every 7 years, you every 7 years, scientifically speaking,
come on.
Every 7 years, you develop into a new or different person. You're a new version of yourself. Literally, your molecules and all that stuff has now been rejuvenated from 7 years ago. So you're not even the same person you was in high school. So that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Just because we dribble the basketball together on the same court in practice, don't mean you still have the same values that I do. Similarities and same interests. It doesn't. You have to spend time with people.
And you know what? I'm glad that you made that point. And I think that we, as us, like as since we're talking about the cultural impact of it, just don't throw a around the world friend.
Associate is okay. Associate is not offensive.
No. Like I just found out, that's one of my acquaintances and one of my. Oh, we ain't friends now. No, Negro. I'm not. No. I mean, for real, your friend should be somebody that you feel comfortable around, that you can invite your family around. You don't feel no certain energy, no crazy way about it. You can invite them into your home if it gets to that place. But no, if I'm just connecting with you off of social media, or I just connected with you at this party or this or at a brunch or something, we are not friends.
And another thing for women specifically, when you get that first sense of one of your friends being envious or jealous of something that you're accomplishing, or whenever you bring up something that you've accomplished or a goal that you hit, and their reaction is a little off, if their reaction isn't, congratulations, or I'm proud of you. If it's always, I'm proud of you, but yeah, I did that and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, your little business? Oh, yeah, well, I would have da-da-da-da-da. If it's always a da-da-da-da-da behind the congratulations or you did a good job, pay close attention to that. That'll be the same female who undercut you and talk about you on social media, or they try to downplay what you're doing. If your friends are downplaying anything that you're accomplishing or a goal you're trying to reach, that's not your friend. That's not your friend at all.
So do you feel like at this day and time, because we sound like we're having a different conversation about friendship, and it feels like we're going back to when we were like in grade school, like your mother, may have taught us like, oh, okay, your friend, let me, this is what qualifies a person to be your friend. Like, do you feel like we need to go back to that time? We need to have those conversations again.
If your mother doesn't like that person, listen to her.
Yo, wait a minute, hold on. Tiana just said this. Tiana just said that. Tiana just said the same thing. If your mother don't like them, Tiana, you say, hell, if your mother don't like your friends, listen to her.
My mother ain't never steered me wrong.
And say it again, Iman.
My mother ain't never steered me wrong. Ain't never.
If your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, and I'm saying, or even the men in your family, but go to the women, because y'all have that sixth sense about things, right? So if your mother, your grandmother, your auntie, I don't like them.
And it's always that. I don't like them. Mm-hmm, always.
Mom be like, that's my friend. Your mother, she don't even give you the full view. She look at Mom, can they eat for dinner? Can they stay for dinner? And she give you that look like, I don't eat with the devil.
That is true. We're the grandmothers. Bring the grandmothers.
You know what I'm saying? You be like, you gotta look at here's another indicator. The children. If a child, they often say that a child can pick up on a person's sense of the spirit of an individual. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm always leery now. Now that I'm a parent, I have a small child, my daughter. My son is, he's at 9, but with my daughter, everybody always wants to go around, hey, and I'll be like, ooh. No, sir. First and foremost, you are not touching my daughter, dog. Like, I don't care how cute she is. You're not touching, and that's that's a friend boundary. That is a family boundary. You are not touching my daughter.
I don't blame
you. Can look at her. You can squat down, but and I respect people's boundaries. When I see people's children, how you doing? I'm keeping that boundary because I know how I am about my small child. So if you want to get up in my face and like, we friends. No, whoa.
Red flag.
You ain't kissing up on my daughter. I don't know who you are, where you been. No, these cheeks are too precious.
You are some precious little cheeks. She's so beautiful.
Sweet, I don't know what kind of bitter taste in your mouth for these sweet cheeks, man. You back up.
Don't know where your mouth is.
Like, you gotta set boundaries until, and people get offended by this. And I'm just saying, I think we do need to set boundaries nowadays. If people get offended, then so be it. A real person that cares about people understand, like, no, that's cool. I get it. Hey, no problem. I don't want to offend nobody. When I meet new people, new women, new men, I set boundaries right at the beginning because I know everybody has had some crazy ass experiences when it comes to people. So we gotta definitely look at that. All right, look, but I here's the thing. I think, Iman, you and I pointed out a couple of things with this case, but I hope that, whoever the police have in custody for the killing of Shanquella, and I hope they release the names, and I hope to hell that the rest of the friends get something for it. They got to get punished for it because they did that sister wrong. Did that sister greasy and wrong. So I have no love for somebody who leaves somebody in their greatest need and you going to go home and then lie to her mother. You just pull a Tupac from Juice move. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You the problem too. You a suspect too. You a suspect too. Look, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's shift gears. Let's talk about Iman's favorite hip-hop artist, Megan Thee Stallion, and talking about the history she continues to make. So stay with us. That discussion is up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Okay, for our final conversation today, we wanted to talk about someone that our culture crew member Iman Heath enjoys to listen to. So it's like, all right, let me hold this story for Iman.
Hotties in the building.
Because this artist is making waves for so many different reasons. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about the good things. She has been chosen to be the first Black woman to be on the cover of Forbes magazine for their 30 under 30 showcase. So she's one of the top 30 Black people in America that is just making huge amounts of money, because that's what Forbes do. They count people's pockets, make huge amounts of money, and in the same time making an impact in the culture. Now take a look at what Forbes wrote about Megan Thee Stallion. Take a look at this here, folks, and then we bring up some. And I want to ask my team to please let's find the cover of her on the cover. But let me show you what they said. They said Megan, this is coming from Forbes. Megan, who landed on Forbes' annual 30 under 30 list 3 years ago, is emblematic of a brash new class of female hip-hop stars. She and acts like Cardi B, City Girls, Doja Cat, and I'm going to even throw in there, Iman, Glorilla, because I think she's on the rise as well, embracing an unapologetically raunchy style, formerly the exclusive territory of male rappers. Millions of young female fans, whom Megan calls hotties, can't get enough. She's so empowering and so sexy, according to Cardi B. She's mega million Megan. Now, billion-dollar brands, which a decade ago would have wanted nothing to do with Megan's raw, often X-rated songs, are lining up. She has recently signed endorsement deals with Nike, Revlon, Cash App, and Popeyes. She got that hottie sauce at Popeyes. The cultural influence that hip-hop and artists like Megan now have is unmatched, says Stacey Taffet, who is a top marketing executive at Frito-Lay, who partnered with Megan to tout Flamin' Hot Cheetos. She said, our Super Bowl campaign with her outperformed a lot of what we've done in the past and exceeded all our expectations. Forget generic endorsements. Megan is interested only in campaigns that capture her swagger and her style. She said, I cannot fake it. If I'm not naturally into it, I don't want to sell it. Woo! There it is. That's Megan's 30 under 30 first Black woman to grace the cover of Forbes magazine for their 30 under 30 highlight and showcase. All right, Iman, you're a fellow hottie. What do you make of this? Is this good for the culture?
I do believe the culture. First of all,
you can't stop smiling.
Because that's my girl. So she's also partnered with Puma and Coach. I won't say she's solely responsible for Coach becoming popular again, but she did definitely have a strong hand in it. She had a deal with Hot Cheetos as well. And I don't know why Hot Cheetos started getting, on the map again, but she did that as well. Congrats to Megan, first of all. And it isn't just about music. Like the things that she's, like I said, partners with and endorsed, she's made roughly 13.3 million just this year off of ticket sales and other endorsements, her concerts. Like she's doing the damn thing. Under 30. I believe that her style, as far as most of our female rappers now, that raunchy style or that unapologetically I am who I am style is what's hot right now. And she's representing well.
So like I threw in Glorilla because I feel like now there's a pattern, and I don't know whether it started with. I mean, some people will say Lil Kim, right? But Lil Kim is literally like 20 plus years ago when we saw Lil Kim kind of come out with this raunchy style. And Lil Kim, I remember that was back in 95, 94, 95, 96. Y'all remember when Lil Kim came out? She was shunned. She was shunned. She would not have gotten endorsements. She would have not have gotten all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because people really saw her as being like a porn star more so than an artist, a rapper, a businesswoman, right?
Yeah.
So she had to take the hit for the Cardi B's, Megan's, Doja Cat's, City Girls, Glorilla. She took the hits. But now we're seeing something different. And here's my concern. My concern is, Iman, that as great as these women are showing, that they're being rewarded for that raunchy style. That sends the message to younger girls who may be looking up to these women, especially to a Megan, that says, you know what? If I am unapologetically woman, unapologetically Black, and unapologetically raunchy and ratchet, I'm going to get rewarded for it. Is that a concern that you think that we should have?
That can be a real concern, but then, like we've said before, it also starts at home. Yeah, you can be your real or authentic raunchy self. You just have to know the place and time for it. So young women who don't have that guidance can have that confused. And like Cardi B has stated clearly, she makes adult music. And I know Megan hasn't come out and said that clearly, but it does start. You have to have type of parameters at home. I do think it does come off, especially on social media and TikTok. If you have this raunchy, loud,
ghetto style.
Yeah, I was only gonna say ghetto because of that period I girl, which is a hot mess. If you have this persona of this loud, wild, ghetto Black woman, you'll get endorsements. And I will say, some part of our culture does support and push that. That's how they wind up on the Breakfast Club and getting paid to do interviews and go on shows simply for publicity. They're like the human version of clickbait, basically.
Right.
It can turn into that. That is a concern.
And here's the other part, and I'm not going to beat up on Black women, because I think at the end of the day, y'all are trying to figure out the best way to get through, right? To make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the crazy Black women, the crazier you are as a young Black woman, the more likes, the more acceptance. You know, I'm thinking about what's the
Krishan Rock and
you know
Taraji.
Krishan and Blueface.
It's
like,
horrible.
Look, I see Blueface. He got caught up in some attempted murder situation. Mm-hmm. Krishan, like I saw a couple of videos, she's throwing up, puking all over the place, and
she might be pregnant. That's the new.
But I'm just saying, like, and that may be so, but it just looks so crazy, right? It just looks so crazy, and on social media, you getting likes, you getting all of this, you getting new fans, you getting new watchers, and blah blah blah. But there's a downside for that. There's a consequence to that, and it's like we become. Just like we said in the earlier segment about Herschel Walker being a minstrel show, it's my thing is like, yo, and I'm not saying Megan is making black women a minstrel show, but it's like Megan is doing her music thing. She does the business thing, but then you got the younger sisters. It's like, I'm gonna take this shit to the next level.
Like purposely here in Baltimore, Krishan, her dad, and Blueface, they get into it, and he apparently Blueface knocked out her father, or then it turned out her sister came out and said it was a skit. It was just for views and likes, because Instagram pays you for the more view, and TikTok, the more views and interaction you get from viewers. Once you hit a certain amount, you do get paid for it.
Right.
And unfortunately, in our culture, we do like drama. Drama is entertaining to us. Love and Hip Hop still on VH1.
Damn.
I was watching that in middle school. So it's our culture feeds off of that drama, but I definitely don't think Megan, we would solely blame. Even take me if I wasn't a fan, I wouldn't solely say she's the reason why these girls act like this.
No. I wouldn't put that on her doorstep. This happened before she comes out of that culture.
Right.
But she's not the originator of the culture in that respect, right? So I definitely wouldn't do that. All right, let's go to some of our online culture crew members and hear what folks got to say. Mingly Natasha Serge, you said she's making money, but why she stay on social media beefing with everyone? Why is she worrying about everything that's said about her? Because she's young.
Because people keep saying she's a liar about this whole Tory Lanez situation. And if I was her, I would be tired of hearing the same thing. When it comes to this, her record label, her old record label, trying to get the deal cut from them, people always have something to say about her. So as a human, and we've all fell victim to it, those comments can get to us sometimes. So we want to say something back.
Right. She don't want to show she's no punk.
That too.
And speaking of Tory Lanez, I think the trial starts either today or this week, if I'm not mistaken. The trial kicks off the trial will be very, very soon at the beginning of that regarding the shooting between her and Tory Lanez. But I think that I'm happy to see her grow. I'm happy to see, like, I already knew that when I first heard Megan Thee Stallion, I was like, oh, she about to blow up. She about to just blow up, right? Now she's becoming, not only has she blown up, she's becoming the industry model. And it's interesting because Cardi is on a different path. And this is the funny thing. And I don't know if anybody really studied the path that Megan has taken versus the path that Cardi has taken. Cardi, we know Cardi wild. We know she wild, right? But there's still something stabilizing her, which I think is her family life. Megan is not married, but she is in a committed relationship with what's the brother's name? Cardi, right. So she's in a committed relationship. She talks all that stuff, but she's in a committed relationship. Same thing with Cardi. She married with children. She got a whole family. So it's right. So it's like, it's interesting that these women, kind of put themselves out to be a certain type of women, but then at the same time, they're very conservative and very traditional. And saying, look, I'm going to, have a rootedness. I'm going to have a family. I'm going to have a mate with me throughout this whole process. And I'm going to, still do some things that are traditional. I'm not so far to the left. And I think that's interesting. I think that's the
part we forget to look at. We forget to look at their totality. I think you hit the nail right on the head. You can be that ratchet, loud, raunchy woman when it's time to, but then you also have that family aspect where they're calm. I remember Cardi was on live and she was playing her music, and then when Culture walked in the room, she turned it off. So it's a balance. We gotta look at the balance. I do think Cardi and Meg, for example, do balance it well. Besides Nicki Minaj wanting to beef with everybody, I think she does balance it well.
She's another one.
Yeah, we forget that part. It's a balance to it.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And we got a comment that says that this ratcheting leads to us having toxic relationships or toxic friendships. What's your take on that as well, Iman?
It can. Just we just said with common and particular same interest. If I'm loud, raunchy, and ratchet, and you loud, raunchy, and ratchet, I might be loud, raunchy, and ratchet at the club, but you might be loud and raunchy all the time. So because we have that common interest or likeness, that's when that friendship starts. And then come to find out, you way more wild than what I thought.
Right.
And again, you didn't take that time and effort to know that person. So I do see that. It can develop toxic friendships.
Now, here's the other thing very quickly, and as we close out, the other thing is that Megan is on a pedestal, right? Now she's working, of course, with the likes of a Beyonce and other, heavyweights within the music genre. She's certainly ventured out into TV and film, doing some things. Like, she's not in those spaces anymore because she understands that she came from those spaces, but she can't go back to those spaces. Talk to us. What do you think of that? Because some people may listen to it and be like, "Oh, she's still down in Houston in the basement. She can't go down there no more."
She even graduated from TSU, so
right.
she's not just this ratchet, loud, crazy female. And I do believe she understands she's not who she was when she first started. She's doing things with Marvel. She's not who she was when she first came in the game with that feature with Wale. So I do think she embraced it, and she's embracing it very well. And I wish her much success because she's doing the damn thing.
Well, congratulations on being on Forbes list. I hope that, as she grows in her artistry, she continues to grow in her service to the people. I know that she speaks on a number of issues related to women, domestic violence issues. I think she's also kind of spoken on a little bit of the reproductive health. Cardi has certainly been vocal about issues from everything from prison issues to a whole bunch of stuff, to poverty. I hope that these sisters, now that they have a platform, now that they have the resources, that they do something with them, and help to tell people, to teach people, like, that's one thing I do on record, but in real life, you got to make certain choices to get to a certain point. Because, Black women, y'all are at a very, as Black people, we're at a crossroads, but Black women, you're so important to the next phase of our growth and development and progress in this country, that we need y'all mind, body, and spirit to be intact. You know what I'm saying? Just like y'all need us as Black men to be intact, we need the Black women to be intact. And so I hope these sisters start to really embody that. And yes, you can have, like one of our culture crew members, you don't like music, it's sexy music. If you don't like sexy music, don't listen. If you don't like the music, you don't have to listen. But there should be some growth in the music. I listen to Traumazine. There's some growth. I love the song Her. I love the song she talks about anxiety. Like, I want to hear growth from a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear love from a Black woman. I want to hear vulnerability from a Black woman. I want to hear the very facets that make Black women beautiful and great. So congrats to Megan Thee Stallion. And Iman, I can see you being in those spaces very soon. You know what I'm saying? The things that you be doing.
It's coming.
I could see you in those spaces very soon. So when that happens, we're going to be talking about you on Forbes and how you're making waves all across the industries that you're a part of. Iman, thank you so much for being so good for the culture, being on the show, and doing your damn thing each and every week. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you. I'll see y'all next week.
See you next week, sis. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. But I thank each and every one of you for joining us. Make sure y'all go to our website, blackstarnetwork.com, where we continue to do the work of empowering you, having these conversations, and most importantly, doing it all for the culture. You can support us right now at blackstarnetwork.com, and you can find us on all social media platforms at Black Star Network on IG and Twitter. We would love to connect with you. Also, make sure you follow me on IG and Twitter. You can follow me on The Real Faraji on IG. On Twitter, you can follow me at Faraji, Farajii. Love to connect with you and continue to build our base of a community of online culture crew members. So thank you for your continued support of us here on The Culture. All right, folks. At 6 o'clock, it is RMU will be streaming live. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Make sure y'all tune in. And so definitely check out what Brother Roland has to say about all of these topics. But most importantly, always remember, never forget who you are. Never forget where you come from. And most importantly, never forget the impact that you want to make in the world. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to my team. And thank you for tuning into today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.